press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Hello everyone. So in the previous session we had discussed about the three kingdoms, Monera, Protista and fungi, right? So the Monerans, they are unicellular prokaryotic organisms, the unicellular prokaryotic organisms, Monerans, and the second kingdom is the Protista, where they are unicellular, okay, they are unicellular organisms with eukaryotic cells, okay, and the kingdom fungi, where this kingdom has the heterotrophic multicellular eukaryotic organisms. So here from the prokaryotic unicellular to the multicellular eukaryotic organisms. So we had discussed about that, right? The three kingdoms. Now let us discuss about the kingdom Plantae. So in this kingdom there are so many varieties of organisms. The planet, our planet has so many diversities in plants. We will see different type of plants in our surrounding, right? So here this kingdom is further subgrouped, okay? So here in the Plantae, the kingdom, it is subgrouped, and the plants which are present, they range from very lower plants, okay, they range from very lower plants, the primitive plants, to the more advanced tall trees, okay. And today let us discuss about these plants. So this session is only about the plants, okay. Now coming to the characteristics of kingdom Plantae. So here the Plantae kingdom, they have the multicellular eukaryotes, usually they are multicellular eukaryotes with cell wall, and cell wall is made up of cellulose. In the Plantae, the plants which are present, they are multicellular and eukaryotic organisms with cell wall, okay. And while classifying, we see some fundamental characters over here, okay. And the fundamental characters while classifying, like the first level of classification among plants depends on whether the plant body has well differentiated with distinct parts, right. So here the distinct parts like roots, stem, branches, leaves, flower, whether they are present or absent, okay. So based on this, the first level of classification can be done. Further, the next level of classification is based on whether the differentiated plant body has special tissues for the transport of water and other substances, right. So here there are the special tissues for transport, they are xylem and phloem, right. So the xylem, water conducting tissue, and the phloem, the food conducting tissue. So based on this xylem and phloem, the plants have been classified whether they have this special type of transporting tissues or not, okay. The next level, the further classification, looks at the ability to bear seeds and whether the seeds are enclosed with the fruits. If the organism, it has distinct parts, okay, then further whether they have xylem and phloem, that is also okay. And coming to the next character, that is whether the organism, okay, whether this organism can bear a seed. If they bear a seed, whether they are visible, that means if they are naked, or if they are enclosed with a fruit. So based on these characters, the classification have been done, and in this classification, it is a schematic representation. So here the classification, the first criteria was either the body parts is differentiated or not, and if the body parts have not differentiated, if the plants do not have a differentiated body parts, then they are thallophytes, right? Then they are thallophytes because they doesn't have any differentiated body parts, and if the body parts are differentiated, the further characteristics have been noticed, that is whether they have special tissue like special vascular tissue or not. So without specialized vascular tissue, then that organisms are included in the bryophyta. If the plant is having well differentiated parts and also the vascular tissue, if there is no vascular tissue, then they are bryophytes, and if they are with vascular tissues, okay, if they are with vascular tissues, then further characteristics we must notice them, like whether they produce seeds or not. So if they do not produce seeds, they are categorized under pteridophytes, okay. So here pteridophytes, one is having differentiated plant parts, okay, body parts, and they have vascular tissue, and also they do not produce seeds. So these are the characteristics of pteridophytes. Later, coming to the seed plants which produce the seeds, okay, the plants which produce the seeds, further characteristics we must notice them, like whether they bear naked seeds or bear seeds with seeds inside the fruits, whether the seeds are enclosed in the fruits, right. So here if they produce the seeds, okay, if they produce the seeds, then these organisms are called as angiosperms, and if they bear naked seeds, if the seeds are naked, then they are gymnosperms. Here gymnosperms again, they have differentiated plant parts, they are vascular, and they produce seeds, and these seeds are naked. They are gymnosperms. Whereas if the seeds are enclosed with the fruits, then that plant is called as angiosperm. We can categorize that plant under angiosperm. Later, if the seed which is present inside the fruit, whether the seed have cotyledons, based on the number of cotyledons, the further classification is done, like seeds with one cotyledon are called as monocots, and seeds with two cotyledons are called as dicots, okay. So this is how classification is done based on the fundamental characters. Plants, if the body part is not present, if the body parts are not differentiated, then they are thallophytes. If the body part is differentiated and if they are lacking the vascular tissue, then they are bryophytes, and the body is differentiated with vascular tissue, and if they doesn't produce seeds, they are pteridophytes. The body is differentiated, vascular tissue is present, and if they produce seeds and the seeds are naked, are called as gymnosperms, and if the plant produce seeds which are enclosed with the fruits, they are called as angiosperms. And here if the seeds have two cotyledons, then they are called as dicot, and if the seeds have only one cotyledon, then they are called as monocots. So this is the schematic representation of the classification in the kingdom plantae, okay. This is the broader classification, and further some basic characters, some characters, more characters, they will notice the characters, okay, they will study the characters, and further classification have been done. So here in the thallophyta, again subdivision will take place, and bryophyta, they are also divided. Pteridophytes are gymnosperms, angiosperms. All these organisms are further grouped into class, order, family, genus and species, okay. But this is the base, this is the broader classification. In your standard, you will study only the kingdom and subgroups, okay. Now Let us study these groups one by one. Let us study the Thallophyta, Bryophyta, Pteridophyta, Gymnosperms and Angiosperms. Now, moving to the Thallophyta. So, these are some brief characters. So, this Thallophyta, they do not have well differentiated body design, as I said before. They do not have the distinct body parts like roots, stem, leaves, branches, fruits, flowers. They doesn't have anything. The body will be like a thallus. ಒಂದು ಥ್ಯಾಲಸ್ ಥರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಬಾಡಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ they are commonly called as algae. So here don't confuse with the cyanobacteria, blue-green algae, and don't confuse with the algae under Protista, okay, and the algae which is present in the plants, that is Thallophyta. Some of them have primitive characters, whereas some have some advanced, more advanced characters, okay, and here these algae, they are chlorophyll bearing simple autotrophic. Okay, this algae, they undergo photosynthesis. For the process of photosynthesis, they need chlorophyll. So they have chlorophyll. They are simple because the body is not differentiated, and they are autotrophic as the mode of nutrition. Okay, and this algae are predominantly aquatic. Okay, they are present in an aquatic medium, that is they survive in the water medium. And moving to the division, like algae is further divided into 3 classes. The one is green algae, that is Chlorophyceae. Okay, so because the Chlorophyceae, the chlorophyll pigment is the dominant one. Okay, chlorophyll pigment which is present, it is dominant. So the green algae, it is called as green algae. For example, Euthrex, Spirogyra, Chara and Cladophora. So here Euthrex, it is the organism, and further if you compare the Euthrex with the Spirogyra, you can see some differences. Like in Spirogyra, the cytoplasm which is present, it is spirally arranged. Okay, the cytoplasm, it is spirally arranged, and like ribbon like arrangement, spirally arranged cytoplasm will be present. So for that sake, it is called as Spirogyra. So here these two are algae, and further if you compare these two with these two algae like Chara and Cladophora, here in these organisms, in these algae, there will only cells which are filamentous. The cells, they will be in a filamentous, but here somewhat branches have been done, right? They developed into some branches like structures. So this is how modification will take place, development will take place from one level of organisms to the next level of organisms. Okay, so the development will leads to the higher organisms, and as the organisms become more complex, as the organisms become more multicellularly complex, then they have specialized structures to perform different functions, right? So here these organisms are somewhat advanced compared to these organisms, right? So the examples of the green algae, the Chlorophyceae, are Euthrex, Spirogyra, Chara and Cladophora. Next, moving on to the next class, that is Phaeophyceae, that is brown algae. So this algae is brown in color due to the presence of xanthophyll pigment. Xanthophyll along with the creatinine. Okay, so these two, like xanthophyll and carotenoids, they are responsible for the brown color in this algae. Examples like Ectocarpus and Laminaria. And here economic importance of this Laminaria, so this Laminaria is usually used as food. Okay, this algae is used as food. So these are the two examples for Phaeophyceae, that is brown algae. One is Ectocarpus. So this is the organism Ectocarpus, and this is the Laminaria. Okay. Next, moving on to the next class, that is Rhodophyceae. This Rhodophyceae is usually a red algae. This red color is responsible from the pigment called erythrin, phycoerythrin. Phycoerythrin, it will leads to the red color in this algae. Okay, and examples for these are Glacilaria and Gelidium. So, if you notice the commercial importance of this Glacilaria and Gelidium, from this Glacilaria and Gelidium, the agar-agar have been extracted. I think you all know about that agar-agar. So, this agar is used in a culture of bacteria. Okay, agar, if you heat that agar with some water, it will be a jelly-like substance. Right, that agar-agar, it is used in the culture of bacteria, and also commercially it is used in the production of ice creams and jellies. Okay, so these ice cream and jellies have been produced by agar-agar. That is, the agar-agar is the extraction of this Glacilaria and Gelidium. Okay, next, so this was about the kingdom Thallophyta, the algae, the kingdom algae, the Chlorophyceae, Phaeophyceae and Rhodophyceae. Next, moving on to the group Bryophyta. Okay, in the Bryophyta, there are some characters like they are called as amphibians of plant kingdom. This Bryophyta, they are called as amphibians of plant kingdom, and usually they are found in damp, humid and shaded localities. So here they are called as amphibians of plant kingdom because they will grow and develop in the soil. They will grow in the soil, but for the sexual reproduction they need water medium. Okay, for sexual reproduction they need water medium. So for that sake they are called as amphibians of plant kingdom. They are usually found in damp, humid and shaded localities. Further, this Bryophyta, they lack true roots, stem and leaves. This Bryophyta, they doesn't have any roots, stem and leaves. True roots, okay, but except that, so to replace them, they have differentiated to form stem and leaf like structure. The plant body is commonly differentiated to form stem and leaf like structure, stem like and leaf like structures. Okay, and for the attachment to the substratum, so it is by unicellular or multicellular rhizoids. So you must notice this. So these rhizoids are usually adventitious roots. You can call it as adventitious roots, and these roots, they are not true roots. Okay, like how we see the fibrous roots and tap roots, they are not the true roots, they are adventitious roots, and these rhizoids, they will help in the attachment to the substratum. So if you compare the Thallophyta and Bryophyta, in Thallophyta there were no such divisions like body distinct parts, but if you come to the Bryophyta, in this group you can see somewhat development, somewhat distinguish like body characters at least to the leaf or stem like structures, stem root like structures, right. So further this Bryophyta is divided into liverworts and mosses. Okay, so the liverworts, the name is because these plants, they will be liver like shape, and they are small plant, very small plant with liver like structures. So you can see this is the Marchantia, the liverwort. So it is a leafy like structure. Okay, on the leaf like ತರ spread ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. Here no differentiated parts are present. And moving on to the mosses. These mosses, they are tiny leafy stemmed filamentous bryophytes. So you can notice here they are tiny, very tiny, and leafy stem will be present. The stem are very soft leafy stem, and they are filamentous, somewhat elongated. right? Here this plant, it is being spread out, and here beneath to this leaf the rhizoids will be present, as I said, the adventitious roots, and on the top there is a leaf like spread, a liver like structure. So that is the leafy like surface. Okay, and in this Markensia, okay, this is the Markensia, and here you can find the cups, right, the cup like structures over here on the top. So these cup like structures, they are called as gamma cups, and these gamma cups, they will undergo asexual reproduction, the vegetative reproduction. Okay, and the sexual reproduction is also taken place in this organisms, in this bryophyta, that is the production of Antheridium and Archegonium. Antheridium, the male reproductive part, and Archegonium, the female reproductive part. On this top, a filament like structure will grow. Either if it is male, then it is Archegonium, and if it is female, then it is, if it is male, it is Antheridium, and if it is female, it is Archegonium. Okay, and these structures will bear some spores, and further the spores, they will fuse with the help of water. In the water current, the spores is moved, and there in the water medium the fertilization will take place, and further they will grow into a new individual. Okay, and also in the Funaria. So these are two examples of bryophyta. One is Markensia and another one is Funaria. So moving on to the next group, that is Pteridophyta. So in this Pteridophyta, there are some characters, like they are the first terrestrial plants to possess the vascular tissue. Okay, so here from the bryophyta, in the bryophyta what happened? There were distinctive structures. Some parts were started to grow, some parts were developed like root like, stem like, leaf like, but here in the pteridophytes the vascular tissue will have been developed like xylem and phloem, right? And these characters, the formation of xylem and phloem, as well as here the body is differentiated into root like, stem like, leaf like. So these are the primitive and very basic characters, and the development will be very less compared to the higher plants, higher advanced plants, but they have some characters. Okay, they have these characters like the vascular tissue as well as root, stem, leaves. Okay, and these pteridophytes are usually found in cool, damp and shady places. Cool, damp and shady places. So they cannot tolerate the higher temperature, as they are smaller organisms, right? They are smaller organisms. For that sake, the temperature or else the climate must be very low. So cool, damp and shady places. So here the leaves, if you notice the leaves, some leaves they may be small, they are called as microphyllous. If the leaves are small, they are called as microphyllous, and some plants, some pteridophytes, they will bear large leaves. Okay, they are called as macrophyllous. Okay, can you notice some small leaves to some larger leaves? Okay, and here one more characters must be noticed, that these pteridophytes, they wear a sporophyll. So it is a leaf-like structure where the sporangia are developed. Okay, it is a leaf-like structure where sporangia are developed, and this sporangia will further produce the spores, and the spores, they will develop. Okay, they will utilize the humidity, moisture, and they will develop into the gametophyte, that is Antheridia and Archegonia, and inside that Antheridia and Archegonia, male and female gametes will be present, and this male and female gametes, they will undergo fertilization in the water medium. They will undergo fertilization, and further the new individual, the new sporophyte, The sporophyte means a new individual. It is being developed. Okay, from the gametophyte, that is the structures, male and female reproductive structures, to the sporophyte. Further, it will develop into the sporophyte. Okay, that is the reproduction which takes place in the pteridophytes. And if you notice these three groups like Thallophyta, Bryophyta and Pteridophyta. So going back to the classification, okay, in the classification, if you notice the Thallophyta, Bryophyta and Pteridophyta, these organisms, they possess the reproductive structures which are very inconspicuous. So inconspicuous reproductive structures will be produced, that is the cryptogams. Okay, the cryptogams. So these cryptogams means the organisms which hide the reproductive structure. In them, the reproductive structures will be hidden. Okay, so that is because the reproductive structures, reproductive organs is not well developed, is not developed properly. They have been very small, very sensitive, so they have been hidden. So these type of organisms are called as cryptogams, whereas the organisms which produce the seeds, where the seeds can tolerate the surrounding temperature, the variations of surrounding temperature, the seeds. Okay, and these organisms, the gymnosperms and angiosperm organisms, are called as phagonograms. Okay, so cryptogams and phagonograms. Further, moving on to from the Pteridophyta, let us move on to the gymnosperms. So here in the Pteridophyta, Selaginella and ferns are the two examples. Okay, and in the gymnosperms, so there are some characters like they include medium sized trees or tall trees and shrubs. So Pteridophyta, the organisms which were present, the plants, they developed into distinct parts, root, stem, leaves, distinct parts. But here in the gymnosperms, the organisms, they are medium to sized trees. So they are medium or tall trees, somewhat tall, not very much, some of tall trees and shrubs. Okay, so ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ development, you can see some more development, some more advanced characters, right? So the roots are generally tap roots. I think you all know about the tap root. The primary root will be present, and from that primary root further roots will be branched. The secondary and tertiary roots will be formed from the primary root, that are the tap root, right? So here the gymnosperms, they have the tap roots and they are medium sized trees or tall trees and shrubs. Further, the leaves which are present, they are developed the leaves are developed, well developed, to withstand the extremes of temperature and humidity and wind. So the leaves which are present, they can withstand the extreme conditions, extreme climatic condition. That is because they will be present in a very high humidity, wind environment. So here they must adapt to that environment, right? But pteridophytes, if you see the pteridophytes, they are very soft, they are very small, right? They can only grow in a shaded place, whereas the gymnosperms, they further modified, they further developed, and here the leaves are strong and the leaves are rough and they can withstand extreme temperature, humidity and wind. Okay, next, the plants in which the ovules are not enclosed by any ovary wall and remain exposed both before and after fertilization. Okay, so here when this condition is present, obviously the seeds will be naked. That means, so in the ovules, if you see the ovules inside the there will be a ovary wall covering the ovules. So ovules ಇದೆ ಅಂದರೆ ovary wall must be covered, and further this will be developed into a fruit. When it is covered, it is developed into a fruit. But here in the gymnosperms, these ovules, they are not enclosed with a ovary wall. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ovary wall ಇರೋದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. So for that sake, the ovules, they will be exposed to the environment, and fertilization will also take place. Ovule ಒಳಗಡೆ gametes will be entered and fertilization will take place. ಇಲ್ಲಿ the ovules ಒಳಗಡೆ fertilization ಆಗೋದ್ರಿಂದ the ovules are present in the ಅಂದರೆ they will be exposed to the environment. So for that sake, the seeds which are developed, okay, the seeds which are developed after fertilization, after the post fertilization, are not covered. They are naked because ovules are exposed to the environment. Ovules are not covered, they are exposed to the environment. Okay, next, moving on to the examples like cycas and pinus. These are two examples of gymnosperms. So if you see the cycas, it is a tree, okay, and it will have a rough leaves. As I said, the gymnosperms, the leaves are developed to withstand extreme temperature, humidity and wind, right? Here the leaves are rough, okay, very rough, and the stem which is present, it is also rough and thick. Spiny stem is present in the cycas. Whereas the pinus, the leaves are needle-like structures, okay. The leaves, they are needle-like structures. That is because they reduce the loss of water during transpiration. So leaves ದೊಡ್ಡದಿತ್ತು ಅಂದರೆ, if the leaves are large, the stomata will be more, and if the leaves are small like needle-like, the stomata will be very less, and these leaves and this less number of stomata, so it will leads to the less loss of water during transpiration. For that sake, they are modified, the pinus, they are modified into a spiny leaves, okay, needle-like, sorry, not spiny, needle-like leaves. So these are two examples of the gymnosperms. One is cycas and pinus. While explaining in the first part, okay, I had told you about the pinus. They live for more than 100 years, right? More than 100 years. So this is also a special character of this pinus tree. Next, moving on to the next group, that is, yes, before that, in the gymnosperms, okay, so in the gymnosperms, if you see, there are no flowers, right? So this doesn't bear a true flowers. The gymnosperms, they doesn't have any true flowers, okay, they doesn't bear flowers. And the reproduction, it is include the reproductive morphology includes male and female cones. If you can see the female cone and male cone, so male and female cones. So these male cones, they are smaller and produce the pollen. This male cone, inside the male cones, in these male cones, the pollens will be produced, and in the female cones, the seeds are produced. So if you compare, the female cone is larger than the male cone, okay, male cone are usually smaller and female cones are larger. Why? Because the pollen grains, they will be smaller compared to the ovule, right? I think you all studied about the reproduction of plants in 7th standard, like the ovule, it will be larger compared to the pollen grain, right? So it may be influenced for this character, like the male cones, they are smaller, and female cones, they are somewhat larger. Some logics, right? Okay, next, these are and the gymnosperm tree, generally this tree will produce the male and female clones within it. The male and female cones both are produced in the gymnosperm tree, okay. So this was about the gymnosperms, like characters, examples, and the reproductive structures, reproductive morphology. Next, moving on to the angiosperms. So in the angiosperms, these are some characters like the angiosperms, they are flowering plants. These angiosperms, they are flowering plants where the pollen grains and ovules are developed in specialized structures called flowers. Okay. So here in the gymnosperms, the flowers are produced, whereas in the angiosperms, there were no flowers. Okay, the flowers, the true flowers were not produced, but angiosperms, they are specially the flowering plants where the pollen grains and ovules are developed in the specialized structures called flowers. So in the sexual reproduction, in the plants, if you see the flower, it will bear a male reproductive part as well as the female reproductive part, right? So both will be present in the flower. Either if both will be present in a single flower, then these flowers are called as bisexual flowers, and in the flower, if there is only one reproductive part, either male or female, then that flower is called as unisexual. Right? Unisexual and bisexual flowers. Further, the seeds are enclosed with fruits. So here this is the basic character, that in the gymnosperms the seeds were naked, but in the angiosperms the seeds are enclosed with the fruits. That is because the ovules which are present, the ovules will be inside the ovary wall. Adra ಒಳಗಡೆ ovules will be present, and fertilization takes place in the ovule, and when the fertilization takes place inside the ovule, further the zygote will be developed. While developing, the ovary wall which is present, it will turn into a fruit. The ovary which is present, it will turn into the fruit, right? For that sake, the seeds, they are enclosed within the fruit, and they are divided into two classes. They are the dicotyledons and monocotyledons. So what is this cotyledons? The cotyledons are seed leaves. Okay, when the seed germinate, so it will produce leaves. Either if it is monocot, a leaf will be produced, and if it is dicot, the two leaves will be produced. When the initial leaves, the first leaves, so that's why these cotyledons are called as seed leaves. Okay, and based on the number of cotyledons, the angiosperms are divided into monocotyledons and dicotyledons. Okay, and I said the structure, the male and female reproductive structure, like the male sex organ is the stamen. Okay, it is the male sex organ, and the female sex organ is the pistil. And if you see the male sex organ, the stamen has filament and anther. Anther and filament together is called as stamen, and the female sex organ, female reproductive organ, it is called as pistil. In the pistil, the stigma, style and ovary. Okay, in the ovary, the ovules are present, and these ovules are covered by the ovary walls. Okay, so this is the structure of female reproductive part, pistil. Okay, and in the anther, the pollen grains are developed. Okay, inside the anther, pollen grains are developed, and when the anther gets matured, the pollen grains, it will be come out. So anther, it will rupture and the pollen grains will come out, and due to some pollinating agents like wind or else water, these pollen grains, they will travel to the stigma of a female reproductive part, and on the stigma the pollen grains will deposit. Okay, the pollen grains will stick to the stigma, right? And from the stigma the pollen tube is formed, and this pollen tube will reach the ovule, and inside the ovule the fertilization will takes place. Okay, so this is about the sexual reproduction. So in angiosperms, asexual reproduction can also be takes place, that is by vegetative reproduction. So some of the bryophyllum. So if you see the bryophyllum plant, the leaves, they will have leaf buds, and when these leaf buds, if they fall down, they will grow into a new plant. Okay, that in case of asexual reproduction, that is vegetative reproduction or its vegetative propagation in case of plants, and also the sexual reproduction is will also takes place. In the bisexual flowers, both both stigma and stamen and pistil both will be present in the same flower. Okay, so here the reproduction will be somewhat easier, the fertilization will be somewhat easier, but in the unisexual flowers, in a single plant, both flowers will be present, and for them the pollinating agents are required. Okay, so here pollination, that is when the anther, it is sticked on to the stigma, so that is the pollination. The anther must travel to reach the stigma, so that is pollination, and for that pollinating agents are required. Okay, so this is about the reproduction, and some of the example of angiosperms, that is monocot, for example maize plant, and dicot, the bean plant. Can you see the differences? So monocot and dicot, can you see the differences? So here the monocot, they have fibrous root system, and in dicot there is a tap root system. So here fibrous root and tap root, the root are different in monocot and dicot. And here the leaves, when you see the leaves, in the monocot leaves, they are parallel venation, they have parallel venation in monocot leaves, whereas the dicot leaves, they have reticulate venation. Here the parallel venation means the venation, they will be like running parallelly, one after one, parallel agi run aagta irutte. Whereas in the reticulate venation, the venation will be branched, network like venation will be formed in case of dicot. Okay, and here coming to the flowers, in the monocot, they bear the trimerous flowers. Here trimerous means the flower with 3 petals, 3 dhada iruvanta flowers. Okay, they will be present in the monocot. For example, paddy, maize. So if you notice the flowers, they will have 3 petals, the trimerous flowers will be present. Okay, and the flowers, the further from the flowers, seed will be formed, right, and these seeds are monocotyledon, monocots. That is because the seed is monocotyledon, single cotyledon is present. So when you break the seed, okay, so you will find only one cotyledon, but in case of dicot, the flowers will be tetramerous or pentamerous. Tetra means 4, penta means 5. 4 or 5 petals will be present in the flower of dicot plant. Okay, and in the seed, the 2 cotyledons are formed, like the if you break the seed, so you will get 2 halves. Okay, 2 cotyledons like groundnut or pea plant, okay, chickpea. If you notice, you will find 2 cotyledons. So that's why they are called as dicots, due to the presence of 2 cotyledons. Dicotyledons, these plants are called as dicots. Okay, so this is the difference between monocot plant and dicot plant, and these are the examples: maize and bean plant. So you can write any other like groundnut, bee plant, chickpea, right, like pulses, okay, green gram, black gram. So it will all come under the dicot, and also the hibiscus. So if you want to notice the monocot and dicot, if you want to identify, first identify the leaves. If the leaves have parallel venation, then they are monocot, and if the leaves have reticulate venation, then they are dicot. Okay, so that will be simple. So this was about the angiosperms. Okay, So in the angiosperms, both asexual and sexual reproduction will take place. Okay, in the sexual reproduction here, in the angiosperms are more advanced, because the sexual reproduction, the fertilization process, here the fertilization process is more internal compared to the gymnosperms. In the gymnosperms, as the ovules are outside, that means they are exposed because they doesn't have any ovary wall. So here the fertilization will leads to the formation of seeds which will be naked. That means seeds doesn't have any cover. But in these angiosperms, as the fertilization takes place inside the ovary, so ovary will be present. So here the seeds, they are closed within the fruits. Okay, the seeds are more safe compared to the seeds of angiosperms, gymnosperms. Okay, so have you noticed the differences between one group to the another group? From Thallophyta, okay, from Thallophyta, the thallus like structures, the algae with some cells, right? From that, in the algae only there were some advanced characters were present, like somewhat branching in the algae. Further, the bryophyta, the leaf like structures or stem like structures, root like structures, not exactly the true structures but somewhat similar to them, they were formed, right? Further, the pteridophytes, they have developed the root, stem, leaves, somewhat development have taken place. And in the gymnosperms, they were the trees, some are shrubs, some are trees, and some are small and tall trees as well. And here the trees will start to grow. The gymnosperms and angiosperms both will include the trees and also some plants. Okay, but in the pteridophytes there were no trees, the plants were very short. Okay, but as the gymnosperms and angiosperms, the trees are formed, and in the angiosperms the leaves are very thick, right? The leaves are very thick because they must control, or else they must adapt to the extreme condition, extreme climatic condition they must adapt. For that sake the leaves are very strong or else very hard, right? And in the angiosperms further there were development of a special structures called as flowers, and from the flowers fruits, right? So this is the special character of angiosperm, that is the production of flowers or else the formation of flowers. Here in the flowers the actual sexual reproduction will takes place, right? So this was, if you see, from Thallophyta to the angiosperms, the development, the modification of plants will take place. Okay, in the next class let us discuss about the very interesting kingdom, okay, which we all have very interest in, that is the kingdom Animalia. So in the kingdom Animalia there are some very primitive organisms, okay, very primitive organisms to the very more complex multicellular organisms. So let us study the kingdom Animalia in the next class. Okay, thank you.